Jeff Grubb, let's do this. Hello. I want to give you an update on Perfect Dark and the Summer Game Mess. Let's start with Perfect Dark, get right into it. Earlier this week on the Bombcast, I mentioned that I had heard from a couple of people that it was in rough shape. I've heard that for a while on the corporate side, heard from the development side, something that seemed to line up with everything I'd heard before. And I think this is one of those situations that, as I said at the time, game development is messy and complicated, and these things can come together, at any point during development. And throughout that time, different people can have different perspectives on how the game is going. And some people definitely think, hey, there's things that don't look great and are in rough shape, but just as many, if not more, now that I've had the chance to talk to even more people, think it looks really good and think it's coming together. And the expectation is that it should be in that showcase next month. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that, but that's the way the wind is blowing. If things change, I wouldn't be 1,000,000% surprised. That's only because we're a month out still. These things are actually still a conversation. They're in flux. I bet they have a pretty good idea of what will be in the show, but how it actually presents in the show, whether it's it includes like all the information, like here's a release date. That stuff still is definitely a conversation. And then some things are still like on the bubble about whether they'll be in there or not. We've definitely seen that in the past. Well, I'll get to one of those here in a second. But really, the bottom line with Perfect Dark is the game is not some special case where it's falling apart. I never said development hell. I never said it wouldn't be in the showcase. I just said I heard from a couple of people that they think it looks rough. That's still the case. It's just that situation where for some people, they are really bashing their head against that because it's a big game and it has a lot of issues, just like any big game. And there's a lot of people who are like, no, we have figured out most of those problems. And yeah, there are a few ahead of us, but we're not worried about it. It's just a complicated thing. These things take time, take a lot of money, take a lot of people. And that's definitely the case for Perfect Dark, but it's not in some really bad scenario that's going to prevent it from delivering the way that they need it to necessarily. But don't take my word for it. It seems like we're going to be able to judge for ourselves here relatively soon. And then do we get release date? No idea. No idea about any of the details that might be in there. Other things out of Microsoft, Gears of War, that's the one that I'm like, I still expect that to be in the showcase, but there's definitely conversations around, how that will appear in there. Like how aggressive will they get with announcing the specifics for that as well? I still think it'll be in there. But no guarantees. Nothing's guaranteed at this point. I don't think they've fully locked in what the showcase looks like, even if they have that decent outline, like I said. But point is like there was a point in time relatively recently where they were going to get very aggressive with announcements for Gears of War 6, and they might back off on that a little bit, but I don't think they would fully abandon the plan to announce that at this showcase. And then what else? I don't have full insights to what's happening with Xbox, but I would expect something from like id, whether that's Doom or Quake or something else. I think it's probably Doom or Quake, and between those two, I would lean towards Doom again. But we'll see. I'm not 100% sure on that either, but I would lean towards Doom. Either way, like it's probably time for id to show up with something else. Yeah, that sounds right to me. We'll see if that ends up happening, but as it stands right now, that's my expectation. What about third parties? Before we talk about PlayStation and Nintendo, which will be more, some of that speculation, some of that is sourced. I'll try to delineate to make sure it's clear. But for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, this is one that I've mentioned before is coming out this year. And hey, will it be at the Summer Game Fest or around that time? Yeah, they've said that themselves over at EA. So that's not something from me. That's them. But that would be my expectation because, yeah, it still sounds like that game is coming out later this year. So where would they announce it other than Summer Game Fest? They could hold their own thing. But my expectation is if they hold their own thing, I think it will be part of the Summer Game Fest orbit. So that's what I mean. Like Summer Game Fest or somewhere else. At this point, it seems like we should see that game at Summer Game Fest or around that time. And they should have all of the details for that thing because everyone seems really happy with that game. They're pretty pleased with how it turned out. And the plan is to launch that this calendar year. So not EA's fiscal year, not before March 2025 or anything like that. This year, and I don't think you're gonna have to wait too long after this thing gets announced to play it, but we'll see. We'll see for sure here pretty soon. As it stands, I'm just gonna say coming out this year. I have it on my Fantasy Critic draft, like it's one of my games, because I'm pretty sure it's coming out this year. Over at PlayStation, I still think the May showcase is happening. I think it's a showcase, still could be a state of play, some event of some sort, but probably a showcase. What exactly is in there? I think we can probably expect to see news about the PS5 Pro now. They've done that sort of mid-gen refresh in a showcase before, if I'm remembering correctly. I think that's how they did the PS4 Pro. That's speculation. I think that Astro game is still supposed to come out this year. And if that's the case, I would expect to see that at the showcase. So this is how the reporting on PlayStation's going for me, where I haven't heard the details about what's in the show. I have some ideas of like what's coming later. I've heard a little bit, but stuff I can't confirm. So that's not happening in this video. But Astro coming later this year, I think that makes sense to announce it in the showcase. I still think there's a chance it like launches with PS5 Pro. I hope it's a full real game. We'll see. Either way, though, Astro, something I'm a huge fan of. I hope that we see that. Likely could be in the showcase. This has also got to be the coming out party for Concord. That's speculation. But the timing, the circumstantial evidence around that really suggests that we could see Concord. And then the thing that I'm like kind of pie in the sky about, but it's something that's been rumored elsewhere, and I have started hearing a little bit about it. And this is, hearing about it, but mostly speculation. So if you go write your headlines about this one, that's on you, because I'm washing my hands of it. I'm just saying I'm hopeful that we would see something from Sucker Punch that is causing Ghost of Tsushima 2 to take a little bit longer than we were expecting. And my hope is something with Sly Cooper. We'll see. Again, not confirmed, nothing like that. But that's speculation. But it's definitely there's a smoke out there. Maybe where there's smoke, there's fire. Hopefully, we'll find out. And then for Nintendo, no idea. They've confirmed they're going to have a Nintendo Direct in June. That's fantastic. If they're having a Direct, they better have some announcements there, right? They definitely have stuff that we've known has been completed for a while. Fire Emblem, Genealogy of the Holy War, that remake, that's probably going to be in this showcase. God, if it's not announced here, are they just going to hold on to that thing forever? That Mario baseball game's been rumored. I think there's that Midori rumor about a Nintendo game that Midori rumored, and Midori always does Sega rumors. So my guess would be the Paris Olympics Mario and Sonic game. Could be something else, but my guess is that's what it is. We were getting pretty close to those Paris Olympics. Maybe June is a bit late to announce that, actually, but I don't know. We'll see. And then, hey, Metroid Prime Remaster 2, or Metroid Prime 2 Remaster, that could happen. I'm very hopeful that we'll get Metroid Prime 4 news, but who knows? That's just me. I know most people are like, I'd rather them just save it for the Switch 2. We'll see. I don't necessarily think it will happen, but I'm hopeful. All right. I think that does it for like what I have in front of me, what I definitely wanted to talk about. Overall, though, just to reiterate and really wrap a bow on it, Perfect Dark's probably going to be okay. Some people, yeah, they're like, I wish this wasn't. I wish what I wasn't looking at was like looking rough to me, but everyone's got their own perception of what a game is like. And the more you talk to people working on that game or orbiting around that game, the better it sounds. Like it's doing. So, in the heat of the moment on a podcast like Bombcast, when we're talking about the Xbox news, and I come in and I'm hearing from people being like, man, this game's looking rough. It's hard not to be like, yeah, here's all this stuff happened over at Microsoft. And also, I hear Perfect Dark's kind of not doing great. So it comes out that way. And then it's like I'm having a conversation with these people on the podcast, and I sort of always lose perspective on how that's going to get viewed widely. And so the next day I come in, it's like, oh yeah, everyone wrote news stories about that. No one to blame but myself on something like that. But the reality is, it's true. people working on that game did think it looked rough. And it's also, been some time since I've talked to some of those people, and I think other people just have their own very narrow look at it. And overall, I think that game's going to be fine. So, yeah. All right. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, everybody. If you want to ask questions, you can always get me on Twitter. Get in the comments here. Leave a comment. I'll try to get to those questions in there. If you want to yell at me, feel free. God, if you want to take the time to criticize, I'll listen 100% of the time. Thank you for watching, everybody. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.